Okay, we are going to get going on the pattern itself. What I did, I already showed you how I made those adjustments on the pattern, and I brought the shoulders in and I brought out the waistline. The big piece is your back, the thin piece is your front piece, and then you'll have your two sides. Okay, so as far as this pattern goes, it says you're going to have your base, which we've already made our base with our floor tiles, and they say to use a felt piece right here for, that's when they just glue it directly onto the candlestick without the dowel going up through the middle. But we're going to have a dowel going up through the middle, so I'm just taking a piece of cardboard and I'm going to take my pattern. Let me see if you're in camera. Okay, and I'm just going to trace around my two pieces of floor tile and also the center. Okay, so this is what you're going to end up with. So what you want to do is you want to take just a pencil and go in about 1/4 of an inch all the way around. You don't have to be specific because you're not going to see this. This is going to be underneath the base of the, and basically all this is to cover up the, when we tuck the fabric up underneath. That's all this is going to be. So you can make it, you know, just go like maybe 3/8 to 1/2 inch on the inside. It doesn't have to be perfect. Like I said, nobody's going to see it. So then you're just going to cut that out. And you can just use a hole punch to get that center out of the middle. You know, this is just, like I said, you don't have to be really specific on this. So let's see if I can use my punch. So just take your punch and just start either your paper punch or whatever, and start making holes in your cardboard. Just get that center out. And because what's going to happen is you're going to take the center of your fabric, and well, I'll show you next. You just want to make sure that this is going to get on the, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be neat because nobody's going to ever see this because it's going to be glued. It's going to be hidden from view. So all you want to do is make sure that your dowel will be able to get up that center, which in this case it doesn't. So let me go ahead and what you want to do also is put your cardboard piece down on the bottom, so if anybody turns it over, they're not going to be able to read through your fabric. Okay. Now you want this bigger than your dowel, but you want it smaller than your base, because what's going to happen is when you put things together, it's going to be your floor tile, then your covered fabric, and then your base. It's going to go just like that. Those are your, that's what's going to happen when we're done. So nobody's going to see that basically, I mean, unless they turn it over and look on the bottom. So what we want to do is take our, get yourself a piece of cardboard. Let's see, I already cut one out. We'll just use the one I already cut out. And so put your cardboard down like that. That's good enough. And cut off here. Just go in a circle. Cut it off. I didn't find muslin, did I tell you that? I'm just using this plain heavy-duty cotton. I don't even know what I bought it for. I got yards and yards of it, so I must have bought it for a quilt backing that I never put together, never used. Okay, so there's that. So let's go ahead. I think my hot glue is hot enough. Let's just tack it down. Yeah, I don't have any water here. That's dangerous. I already burnt my finger once on this hot glue. This is that really hot stuff, but I'll try and be careful. Okay, so there's that. This one and this one. If you do it in quarters, it should come out pretty even by the time you're finished gluing it. Okay, one more time around, and that should be all you need to do. So that's going to be your bottom piece. So I didn't get this one done good. Let me do it again. Okay, so take your scissors and just punch a hole here, because you're going to have to get that dowel through. So just make little marks in here. If you want to, you can glue it up onto the inside, but you really don't have to, because the dowel's going to cover it and you're never going to see it. Okay, so let's just do that anyway. Put a little glue around here. Let's let it cool down a little bit so it won't hurt. Okay. Okay, so that's going to be our base that's going to cover. You can do a neater job. I just did it fast for the video. But this is basically all you're looking for, is to get that up there, because this will be glued to the bottom of the base. Okay, alright, so that's that. When you're cutting out your, let me unplug this so I don't burn myself again. So there's that one, there's that one. Okay, so when you're doing your pattern and you're enlarging it like I did in those places, you want to take your pattern and fold it in half. So if each side of your back pattern looks the same, you're in pretty good shape, because that way you know that your front and your back piece are even. So that, you know, half the battle right there. Okay, so you have one front, one back, and two side pieces. So that's what we're going to sew together. On the pattern it tells you to clip here on the top. That's technically your center point. But once we'll get to there, don't make the clip though, even though they'll tell you to in this instructions. We're going to put it together first, and then we'll clip the whole thing. So let me get some off-white thread on my machine, and we'll start sewing this up. Okay, I think I got the camera set up all right. Since we've modified the pattern, we may have to do a little bit of adjusting. So take your front piece and put it up against your back piece and line it up. So you want to line your neck area up and then your shoulder seams. Okay, so if it isn't exactly perfect, you may have to do a little trimming, because we did modify. So let's give it a shot and see what it looks like. Okay, there's that one. And there's this one. And so our first seam is going to be down here. I got a piece of fuzz. Down here, straight across to the shoulders. And you see how that shoulder's not quite lined up here? If that's the case, then you can just take your scissors and smooth it out so they're exactly even. Now you want to be careful how you sew this, because you are sewing it to the actual size of a doll's body. So you want it to be as close as possible. So when you say you're doing 1/4 inch seams all the way around, when you size your pattern, you want to make sure that you have your 1/4 inch seams all the way around. Okay, so seam number 1 is going to be just a curve right down through the shoulders. Even though this is rounded, just ignore it. You're just going to go straight down and off. Okay, let me see with the camera. Okay. So I've got my machine set for a regular stitch at about 1/4 inch. This is the same stitch I did my test pattern on, so I know this is the right width of a seam for this size doll, which in this case is a 1/4 inch. Okay, so as you get around that curve, pick up your pressure foot and move it around. Okay. This is the shoulder slope of the pattern. And then just go right off the edge and backspace. Backstitch. Okay, cut it. Okay, so there is my first stitch. And because that is a shoulder seam, it is on the bias. Okay, trash can over here somewhere, but close. Oops, just dropped some paint. Okay, so there's that. Okay, so now we're going to turn over and do the other side. And basically what we're doing right now is we're doing this shoulder seam right in here on both sides. Okay, so side number 2. You're seeing this? Let me get the camera a little closer. Okay. And then we're just going to go right off the edge. And then backstitch. Okay, so there is our first 2 seams. And the dowel is going to go right up that center. We're going to cover it with some batting, and the dowel is going to go right up there. So you can see that it's a little bit looser than the top of your dowel. So depending on what size dowel you'll use is depending on how much stuffing you're going to put in the neck of that. But once we stuff it, we're going to put a little glue up here on top, and that will secure it, and then we'll put the ball on top of that. Okay, so now the next step is doing your side seams, and I am going to come back for the side seams. I'll be right back.